Hello. Let's relax, immerse yourself in emotional stories, and explore the world of learning English through stories. Don't forget to press the sign up button and sound the alarm. Don't miss any new stories.
He watched the evening dying out in the sky. The king is cold, with not very indifferent looks. But I said, look. Is not true. He's not looking. It's thinking aimlessly. Seems too tired. Or busy thinking about something else. More interesting. So it can only pass by almost accidentally. Pay a little attention to the surroundings. He's happy for that until tomorrow morning. You don't have to do your boring job. And rejoice like a little schoolboy. To leave the classroom to go to the naughty student's favorite. Watch him from the Nostara side. And you'll feel the joy. Impact in a good way. How to deal with a weak nervous system. And the imagination is stimulated in a way. That's his illness. He's thinking about something forever. I thought he was thinking about dinner. And this evening. What's he looking at? Look at the gentleman on the road. It's kind of leaning and a woman. Sitting in the car neck. Splendid with the horses pulling by. Not Nathanko. Now he doesn't have to pay attention to such trivialities. He is now a rich man. Because of their separate lives. He seemed to suddenly become rich. The last ray of the sun is about to fall. Flashed in front of him, not in vain. And evoke in his warm heart a whole lot of emotions. Now he doesn't seem to see the way. Before any. What a shock. It also surprised him curiously. Now imagine the goddess if she had read. With his moving hands woven the golden background. And now we're going to stitch it up in front of him. The brilliant images of a strange life I've never seen. I don't know if I can move my hand. The goddess lifted him up from the very nice paved sidewalk that he's walking home on, up to 9 levels of crystal clouds. If he were to suddenly ask him, you, where are you standing? What streets have you walked through? He probably doesn't remember anything. All the places he's been, all the places he's been. And flushed with confusion. Maybe he'll make it up. Something to save face. That's why he was startled. I almost screamed and looked around in panic. When an old lady is very respectable, stop him in the middle of the street to ask about the way we got lost. He frowned because he was upset and moved on. Almost unnoticed. Not just a passerby looking at him. Smiling, not noticing a scared little girl. Give way to him. And suddenly burst out laughing so loud, staring at the waves of hands and thoughtful smiles spread across his face. She is still the goddess of imagination. Lifted my puffiness during my pleasure flight. Even the honorable old lady and the passers-by were curious, and she laughed. And the boatmen are having dinner on the LA Bars can, closely on the face of the Fountain Canal. Let's assume that our character is walking there right now. Mischievous. Attach all people and things to your embroidery. It's like attaching effortlessly to a spider's web. And the world has just discovered. That's our weird guy. has entered my familiar lair. Sat at the dinner table. I finished my meal a long time ago and just woke up. When Martina's lifelong maid was silent and sorrowful. Tidy up the table and give me a medicine boat. Only then did he wake up, and was surprised to find that I finished eating, without knowing how it happened. The room was dark. His heart is empty and sad. A whole kingdom. All his dreams have collapsed around him. I can't stand a day of doubt. Now that you're here. Maybe he changed his mind. If so, this letter will tell you that. I'm not complaining, and I'm not accusing you. I'm not accusing you. Because you didn't have enough power over your heart. That's my fate. You're a decent man. He won't smile and won't be upset. Collapse, no more trace of sound. Because of my impatient letters. Please remember that. The person who wrote this is a poor girl. That she's all alone. That there's no heir to teach her. And that she's never know how to control your heart. Leave it to. If even for a moment of doubt lined into my soul, has flown away like a dreamy bird. You can't even. Just in the thought of insulting a girl who's in love. I love you so much. Stop, stop. That's what I thought, Nathanga said. And a joy in her eyes. You have freed me from my doubts. God gave you to thank you. Because God gave me to you. I answered with joy and her happy face. It's him. But at least that's it. There are people we have to thank. Because they live with us. I thank you for seeing you. Because I remember you for the rest of my life. That's enough, and now you hear me. At that time, we promised that when he came back, he'll let you know for an hour. By leaving me a letter. In a predetermined place. I don't remember what I dreamed of. At the house of simple, kind acquaintances. And didn't know anything about us. And if he can't write to me, it was never in the letter. He also said everything. He was on the first day. Back to this city. Be here at 10 o'clock. Where we were supposed to meet. I know he's back. It's like a dark feeling. But all three today. I didn't see the letter or the face. I can't leave my grandmother in the morning. Tomorrow. I asked you to deliver my letter to some kind acquaintances that I told you about. They will send him. If the letter is answered, I'll bring it back to you at PM. But a letter, because you have to write a letter first. It's making his chest twitch. Maybe one day we can do it. Nathanka looked a little confused, but she didn't finish the sentence. At first, she looked the other way. Face red as a rose, and suddenly I felt a letter in my hand. It must have been written a long time ago. Flew to the glasses. A familiar memory, dear and graceful, gliding through my head. I raised my voice. There's a new desire. I almost hugged her for joy. And she's so red that she can't get any redder, laughing through the tears, like the pearls on black lashes. That's enough, that's enough. Let us break up now, she said quickly. This is the address you gave me. Hello, sir. Goodbye. Appointment tomorrow. She squeezed both my hands and I nodded, to begin to rejoice and retreat like an arrow into my lane. I stood there looking for a while longer. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. In my head, still echoing when she's out of my sight, and stimulate his imagination in a charming way, and gradually invoke a whole new set of illusions. The small silent room, scenes of solitude and idleness, cover up your imagination. It gently ignites, and it boils like the warm water of Grandma Mastorina. The old man is calmly shuffling around to make a dark coffee. So it's this imagination that flashes up in the mud. So the book has just been hotly picked up, without purpose. Has slipped out of the hands of my dreamer. It hasn't been sent to page 3. His imagination was awakened again. It stimulated again, and suddenly a new world. Wonderful new life. It lit up again in front of him. In the grand scheme of things, a new dream. A new happiness. A new dose of ecstatic pleasure potion. Oh, for him. Then our real life is nothing. Under his deformed look, you and I are living in a different way. Slowly sluggish. Under his gaze, all of us. They are not satisfied with our fate. We are tired of our lives. You really have to look. Really looking at us. Everything new is cold, dark, and cumbersome. The poor people. Our dreamer guy thinks. That's what he thinks. It's not surprising. Look at his magical illusions. They're created in a magical way. Large in front of him. Into a living, magical picture. There, of course. Our dreamer is the first character. Top highlights. Take a look. How much is the adventure enough? Enough shapes, enough looks. How many are endless eager dreams? Maybe you ask him what he dreams of. No need to ask. He dreams of everything. The role of a poet. Not recognized at first. But after the peak of glory. About friendship on hormones at night reunion. Edith dance bishops and her stand before them, the rebellion of the dead in Robert. She remembered the music that didn't smell graveyard, Minor and Randa. The battle in Balisina. Poetry reading at the house of Countess Fiddy Dantan, a private corner. And next to that is the graceful creature. Listening in the winter evening. With a pretty mouth. And eyes wide open. It's like you're listening to me right now. Oh, my little angel. No, Nazca, he doesn't need anything. This passionate lazy guy. It doesn't matter. To the life that you and I so desire. He thinks that. It's a miserable, miserable life, without knowing that there might come a time. For him, the moment of grief will come. Then he's ready. Change all my paranoid years. To take a day of this miserable life without having to change. Happiness that he also does not want to choose. In an hour of sorrow, contrition, and infinite suffering. But it hasn't come yet. The cruel and terrifying hour has not yet come. Then he doesn't want anything. Because he's higher than all desires. Because he has it all. Because he's redundant. Because he's the artist of his life, and every hour we create, according to a new whim. That magical, paranoid world was created. New softcore. New natural made SAO. It seems like everything is real, not an illusion. And indeed, there were moments when he was ready to believe. The whole life. These are not emotional flares. It's not fiction. It's not a deception of the imagination. It's actually a genuine self-evident. Et SAO Nisterka. Please tell me, why in those moments the breath is choking? Et SAO by some miracle, according to the will of that AI, that my heart beats fast. Tears came out, and their pale, wet cheeks. The dreamer burns up, and his whole existence. It was filled with an indescribable joy. So at SAO. Long sleepless nights passed like a ticking, in endless happiness and joy. And when the dawn shines the pink rays on the window, come in and light the bleak room by a suspicious, illusory light, as in a talisman. Then our weary dreamer, our exhausted dreamer, throw myself on the bed. Remember, in the pleasure of a sick mental state, my concussion, and with a sluggish sweet pain in the heart. True NASCA, you will be deceived and unwittingly believe that. A real passion that's moving his soul, unconsciously believe that there is something alive, captured in his invisible fantasies. But what a lie it is. For example, he feels love got into his chest with an inexhaustible joy, with all the miserable torments. Just look at him and you'll see it. Look at him. Do you believe that, oh Nathan Kai Precious? In reality, he doesn't know the woman he loves so much. In my wildest dreams, maybe he just saw her in these enchanting illusions. And that passion was really just a dream. Maybe they didn't really go together, hand in hand, for so many years of my life. Just them together to people, completely separated from the world. Each brings his own world. his life with the life of his partner. Maybe not her. Late at night to break up. Has dropped his head, sadly sobbing on his chest. Not hear the thunderstorms howl. Under the harsh sky. I can't hear the wind blowing silver. And carry the tears on her black lashes. Maybe everything is just a dream. The desolate and untamed garden of Kauai, with lonely and murky moss-covered paths, where they often led each other to hope and sorrow and loved each other for a long, long time. And the bizarre house his father left behind. This place has been lonely and boring for years, with old husband scowling. All their lives, they make mistakes. Two people who are as shy as a child. They hide and hide their love from each other. Be afraid of how much they suffer. How scared they are. How innocent their love is. And the life. Oh, of course, Nathanka is so cruel. Oh my God. Maybe not. Then he met her at a place on the coast of the country. Under a strange sky. Hot midday. In a wonderful eternal city 9. In the splendor of the dance. Music echoing in a castle. It must be in a castle, filled with the lights. On the balcony full of peaches and pink flowers. I just recognized him. She hurriedly took off her mask and dressed out. I've been free. And shivered and rushed into his arms. The two of them shouted with joy to each other. In a moment of forgetting the pain. The whole separation, the whole dreary house. Even the old husband. A dark, untamed garden in a distant homeland. The whole couch. Where she used to escape from her dull embrace, in his desperate pain. After the last passionate kiss, you agreed that you'd panic. I'll be flushed with a boy. The student had just stuffed a bag of stolen apples in the next bed. When a healthy Kaohsiao guy is happy to talk. Your friend didn't invite you. He opened the door to her room and shouted. It's like nothing happened. And I, friend? I just went from par to God. The old count had just died and ineffable happiness was coming, but people are from. I was eloquently silent after these eloquent speeches. I remember that time. I'd love to somehow burst out laughing. Because I felt a hostile demon began to stir in me. Because my throat started to choke. Twitching to eyes at a time, one more wept. I think Alaska. Listen to me with your smart eyes wide open. Will spark a childish laugh. Is unrestrained fun. And I regret going too far. To plagiarize in vain. Tell all that has long boiled in the heart. And I could say I. Because it's been so long. I'm ready to give myself the verdict. And now I can't help but read it. Confess yourself without expecting people to understand. I was surprised to see her silent. A moment later, she squeezed my hand and asked in a timid, compassionate voice, "You really have lived your whole life like that?" "All my life," Nathanka replied. "All my life and probably will be until the end." "It can't be that," she anxiously said. "It's not going to be like that, and maybe I will live the same life with my grandmother." "You know it's not good to live like that, right?" "I know, Nathanka, I know," but I shout out, I don't hold my emotions anymore. And now, I know more than ever.
I wasted the best years of my life.
Now I know that. And I feel even more sad by realizing that. Because God gave you to me. Oh, my good angel,
To tell me and prove it to me.
now I am sitting next to you and I'm telling you, I am terrified when I think about the future.
Because the future will be lonely. Again, the moldy life is not necessary for air.
And I know what else to dream about in real life.
I was so happy with you. God bless you, sweet girl.
Because you didn't chase me away.
From the first meeting.
Because now I can say, at least I've had 2 nights in my life.
Oh no, no.
The marshal uttered and her eyes glowed with tears.
No, it won't be.
We won't be apart anymore.
Or the evening is SAO.
You know you helped me.
Get back satisfaction with yourself.
You know from now on. I won't think of myself as bad as I used to.
No,
Do you know that now?
I might not be sad.
Because they have committed sins and faults in themselves.
Because that. Such a life is a crime and a mistake. And don't think I'm exaggerating something to you. God, don't think like that, Naska.
Because those are the moments when I feel sad.
To the extent that.
Because at those times, I feel
I could never start a real life. Because that.
I feel like I've lost all ability to behave. Every feeling for reality. Because I finally cursed myself. Because behind the dreamy nights, I had moments of sobriety. And how terrible those moments were. But in the meantime, we're listening all around us. People are spinning where life is noisy. I can still see how the world lives. The world really lives. That their lives are not easy to create. That their lives didn't fly as they'd hoped.
Like the illusion that their lives are always renewed, always young, and what time is an hour like.
Meanwhile, the imagination is shy. It's monotonous and it's boring. It's a slave to the silhouette of ideas. Slaves of the first cloud suddenly cover the sun. And bring sadness. Choking heart bent true king. I love my son very much. What can you imagine if you were depressed?
And I feel it.
The imagination is not empty. It's finally dying. Exhausted in constant stress. Because we also have to grow up.
It goes beyond its previous ideals. Those ideals will be broken to pieces.
Dust, and if there is no other life. We are forced to build it out of these pieces. But at the same time, my soul yearns. Pray for something else.
Some vain dreamer.
Digging in my old dreams.
As in the ashes looking for in the ashes. Even a few tiny flares to blow it up. Into a pink fire that warms the heart.
It's become cold. And relive in it all that was before KI.
Used to be so cute. Used to stir the soul.
It's burning blood. It's causing tears. Have lied so gloriously.
Natanka, do you know what I did?
You know I have to do this every year. It's my feelings. Remembering what KI used to be so cute.
that actually never existed at all.
Because it's just a memorial to stupid, illusory dreams. And I did that because
Even those stupid dreams are gone.
there's nothing to feed them. You know what?
I still like it at certain times now. Remember and visit places before you. I used to be happy in my own way.
How to build my present according to the past.
Never come back.
And usually,
Wandering like a shadow without a purpose. Sad and bored.
on the streets and alleys. And memories, for example.
I remember myself here exactly a year ago. Right on this day and time. It was on this sidewalk that I wandered alone. Just as depressed as now.
And remember that those set dreams. And even though it wasn't better before,
But even though SAO still feels like life is easier, more secure,
there are no dark thoughts now haunting us. There are no conscience concerns. The torments of gloom and resentment. Now don't leave me alone all day and all night.
and I wonder where my dreams are.
And I shook my head and said, fast forward the years.
And I asked myself, what did I do with all the years of my life? You are buried. Where was your best time? Whether you live or not, look. I told myself that.
Take a look. How cold the world is getting. Then many more years will pass, and then there's the barren loneliness. Is old age trembling with a stick?
And then there's sadness and depression.
Your imaginary world will become bland. Your dreams will die. Died dry and fell like yellow leaves on the Nathanka tree. It's sad to be alone.
Completely alone.
And there's nothing to even regret.
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
Because all that's lost, all that,
It's nothing, just a number. Silly and round is just illusory. Oh, don't bother me anymore, exclaimed Nateka.
tears rolling down my cheeks. It's over now.
We will be together. No matter what happens to you now. We're never apart either.
Listen to me. I'm just a normal girl. I don't study much, even though my grandmother hired me to teach, but I really understand you. Because of everything you just told me.
I also went through it when my grandmother tied me to her shirt.
Of course, I can't tell you as well as you just told me. I can't study, she timidly added. Because I still feel respect.
For my oratory.
And for my beautiful words. But I'm glad you told me everything. Now I know you know it all.
Do you know why?
I want to tell you my story.
Tell me nothing to hide.
Then, please give me some advice.
You're a very smart man.
Do you promise to give me advice? Benusika, I replied.
Although I've never been one to advise AI. Especially with smart advice.
But now I see that. If we live like this forever,
That would be very smart.
And everyone will give each other a lot. That's a lot of smart advice. Oh, my wonderful Nathanka.
What advice do you want me to give you? I am having so much fun now.
Happy, brave, and smart.
It's not hard to find words.
No. She likes to laugh and interrupt me. I don't need smart advice. I just need some good advice, brother. It's like you've loved me for a century. Being Alaska gets me screaming pleasure. I wish I loved you 25. Still can't love more intensely.
Okay now.
Give me your hand.
Nathanka said. I answered and gave her my hand.
So we start your story.
The story of Nathanka? Half the story you know.
I know you have an old grandmother. If the other half is as short as the other half, I laughed, interrupting her. Be quiet and listen.
First need to deliver an appointment. Don't interrupt me or I'll mess up.
Listen to me quietly. I have an old grandmother. I've been with you since I was a little girl.
Because my parents died early.
You must have been richer before.
Because now. She used to remember the good old days. She used to teach me French.
And then invite me to teach you.
When I was 15.
I am 17 years old and my education is over.
At the same time, I did something stupid.
I won't tell you what I did. I just know that my mistakes aren't too big.
Like a morning. She called me and said.
Because she was blind, she couldn't control me.
She took him and tied my shirt to hers and said, "You'll be like that for the rest of your life."
Of course, if you don't get better. At first, I couldn't go anywhere.
I have to read books with you.
I tried to fool her, and once.
Coax for Keller to sit in my place. Bella's our maid. She's deaf. Bella, sit in my place. She was sleeping in a desk chair. And I ran to find a girlfriend nearby. It ended pretty badly.
She woke up when I was away and asked me a question.
I thought you were sitting next to me.
Bella saw her ask. But I didn't hear you ask. Sitting around thinking about what to do. Take off your shirt and run away. Nestanka stop words laugh. I laughed with her too. But she immediately stopped laughing. Don't laugh at my grandmother.
You're laughing because it's funny.
You know what to do when you are like that. And I do love you a little.
Then I got enough for that meal.
I immediately sat in my seat.
And don't move anything. I forgot to tell you that my grandmother has her own house. A small house with only 3 windows entirely of wood.
And he's like my grandmother. There is a small floor above. A new tenant there. So there were people there before. I said, "Let me in."
Of course, Nathanka replied. He knows silence better than you.
It was really hard for him to open his mouth.
It's a dry, mute, deaf, lame old man. In the end, he couldn't live in this world anymore. We have to leave the world there. There needs to be a new tenant.
Because we can't live without tenants.
That's about it with your pension.
That's the entire income of my two grandmothers. This new guest is ironic. He is a young man again.
Not from this area, but from somewhere else.
Because he has no barter.
So she let him stay, and then she asked me, "How to thank her? Is our guest young?"
I don't want to lie.
Just now. Not really young, but not old.
Does that look likable?
She asked me if I didn't want to lie.
She looks easy on you too.
My grandmother said, "Oh miserable. This is what I told you. Don't let me look at him.
Time is not good.
That's it."
A petty tenant who also looks like. It's not like old times. My grandmother wants everything to be like old times.
Old-time grandma was younger, and the old-time sun was warmer.
The old milk was not as sour as this.
Everything is old.
I sit silently, but in my stomach I think.
Why did you tell me that?
Why did she ask the innkeeper if he liked her? I have kids, but I just think about it.
And then count the stitches. And then forget about getting dirty.
One morning the guest came to them. I asked about before.
She promised to put wallpaper on him. Talk for a while.
My grandmother has a lot of advice, Nathanka. Hang her in the bedroom. Get her an abacus. I immediately stood up because my face was red.
I forgot it was attached to your shirt. It should have been more discreet.
Remove Kamari to let the guest rent the room without noticing. Then you're free. Make your desk chair sit. Slip away for a while. When I saw that the guest knew all about me, I blushed like the sky and cried. I felt so ashamed and bitter that I don't know where to hide from you.
Just stand there.
And you are crying more and more.
The tenant thought that I was ashamed of him. Get out and leave the room. Every time I hear a noise outside the door. You're like a dead man. I think he's about to walk in and leave a room, then secretly remove the dagger. But it's not him. He doesn't come anymore. 2 weeks have passed.
Zapella's new guest said.
He has many French books.
And they're all good books that can be read.
Would you like me to read it to you? Thank you and agree.
But ask again and again if the book is decent. And if the book isn't decent, she said. Mister can't read it. Because you have to learn bad things.
What do you have to learn? What are you writing there? Bar said. In the books. Writing about young people.
Specializing in seducing the girl Goodhouse. An excuse to marry them.
To get them out of their parents' house.
And then leave those miserable girls to fate. And they had to die tragically.
She used to say.
You've read a lot of books like that. Everything is so well written.
Sneaky reading all night.
So, Nithanka, watch out.
Don't read those books.
Then she asked,
What books did he send?
It's all fiction. Wonder's novel is great. Is there any promiscuity there? See if he's hiding any love letters in there.
No, I said there was no letter. Look at the bottom of the liner.
They often shove it under that liner.
These bandits.
No, ma'am, there's nothing under the liner.
That's it.
So my grandma started reading one sport. After a month, I read more.
And then he sent more books.
Send the pudding. I can't live without books after all.
And stop thinking about getting married.
Prince of China.
And then one day I met him. On the stairs.
And away from me somewhere, he stops me blushing. He also blushed. But he smiles at me.
She asked about her health and said,
How did you read the whole book?
I read it. Which book do you like best? He asked me.
My favorite is I find stick and pudding. That's the story this time.
A week later, I saw him on the stairs. This time it's not wrong. I need to go get something. It was over PM. The guests usually come home around that time.
He said hi to me. So you're not sad to sit all day with Mrs. Sao?
He asked. Listen to him ask.
I don't know why I'm embarrassed and feel humiliated again. Maybe because people have started to care about that story. I tried not to answer and walked away, but I didn't have the strength. You are a good girl, he said. I'm sorry I told you that, but I can assure you I wish you well. More than your grandmother. You don't have a girlfriend to play with at SAOs.
You said you didn't have AI. Just Miss Anka, but she's gone to steal too.
Would you like to go to the theatre with me? Go to the theatre and you will sing. Then you go quietly, he said no. I don't want to fool you.
Hello, he replied and said no more. But after dinner, he came to us.
I sat talking to her for a long time.
Asked if she was going somewhere.
Do you know someone who knows you? And suddenly you say, I bought opera tickets today. They're playing the barber into a selfie.
Some people want to go, but later. I still have tickets. The barber is a selfie, she exclaimed. This is the barber's play that used to be.
People still show up, right?
Yeah, here's the barber. And he glanced at me.
I understood it all and my face suddenly flushed.
My heart leaps and waits. Ah, she said. Then I know too well. In the past, I played Regina myself. On the family stage.
Do you want to go see it today?
If the customer asks, your ticket is wasted.
Yes, it's okay, Grandma.
Conan has never been to the theatre. But I'm so happy.
Let's get dressed and get in the car. She was blind but wanted to listen to music. During that time, she was a kind person.
I want to make you happy.
Because our grandma and grandma can never go. I won't tell you about the impression.
The barber's not a selfie.
But all that evening,
The guest of our inn.
I look at you very respectfully. It's very polite to talk.
Make me feel that. In the morning, he tries you. When I asked you to go alone with him,
How happy the sky is. I went to bed proud.
my heart is beating so badly that I have a low fever.
And all night long, I dream of the selfie scratcher. I kept thinking after that.
He'll be more likely to visit your grandmother's.
But it's not that. He almost doesn't come anymore, only about once a month.
And just came to sing.
And then we went to see it twice.
I am not satisfied with that. I see that he only pity me. Have to live with her. Apart from nothing more.
I can't take it for a while. It's not okay to sit still and read books. It can't work either.
Sometimes I laugh and do something to annoy her.
Other times I just sit and cry silently.
You will finally think. And a little bit later, I'm sick. The opera season is over, and the guests stopped coming to our place.
When you and he met. Of course, it's still on that staircase. He silently nods his head in a serious way.
Don't seem to want to say anything to you. And when he came down the steps, I'm still halfway up the stairs.
Red face as the main plum. Because every time I see you, my blood is on my head.
Now to the end.
Exactly 1 year ago.
In May, the lodger came back in.
And tell her he's done here.
I have to make up for a year. I hear you stunned.
He fell down like a corpse.
My grandmother didn't see anything.
He announced that he would leave us.
Say hello and go out. What am I supposed to do?
I thought I was sad and finally decided.
He's leaving tomorrow.
I decided that night to end it all. After she went to bed.
And that's exactly what happened. I pack a wrap of all dresses and underwear and embrace half alive and half dead.
Go upstairs to meet their guest.
I think I've been walking for an hour on the stairs.
When you open the door to the room,
He looked at me and screeched. He thinks you're a ghost. I hit the bottom of the water because I couldn't stand.
my heart is beating and it's hurting your mind.
When I wake up, I'll start right away by putting a wrapper on his bed.
Sit down next to yourself, 2 hands and face, and cry like the rain, like the wind.
He seemed to understand everything at once. Standing in front of you, pale and sad, looking at you.
My heart is falling apart.
Hey in Alaska, listen to me, he spoke up.
There's nothing I can do.
I am a poor man.
I have nothing now. Even if it's just a decent place. We'll live if I marry you.
We talked for a long time.
I finally went crazy.
Said I couldn't live with my grandmother anymore.
That I'll run away from home. That I don't want to be beaten by a pigeon on my grandmother's shirt. If he wants you to follow him to make up.
'Cause I can't live without him.
It's a shame of love and self-respect. It's all screaming in me at the same time.
and I'm missing a little bit. Had a seizure and fell on the bed.
I'm too afraid of rejection.
He sat quietly for a few minutes and stood up.
Come to me and take my hand. Listen to me, my kind and dear Naskar, he said in front of me. Listen to me. I swear to you, when I get married, I will definitely be happy.
I promise you,
It's only you now.
can bring you happiness.
Listen to me. I'm going to Makava and be there for exactly 1 year.
I hope to get my work done. When you come back,
If you don't stop loving me,
I swear we'll be happy together. And now there's no way I can't.
you have no right to even promise anything.
But I repeat, if it doesn't work after a year,
At some point, it will be. In case you don't leave me, of course. But love others.
because that,
Find you with a word. I can't.
and it's not allowed. That's what he told you. After that day, he left. We decided not to say anything to her. That's what he wants.
Now my story is almost over. It's been exactly a year.
He's back.
He's been here for 3 days and then I screamed, eager to hear the end.
I still don't see him coming.
Nask replied as if to attach all his strength. I don't see the mind.
She stopped silent for a moment. I lowered my head and suddenly my hands were crying.
It makes my heart choke because of that cry.
I'm not waiting for such an outcome at all.
My marshal said in a timid voice. Not Enku, for God's sake, stop crying. Why do you know he may not be back?
Here, and Nataka hung up.
He's here, I know that.
We made an appointment last year, that night before he left.
When you've said everything I just told you, and we made an appointment. We're out here on this river. It was 10 o'clock at night.
We're sitting on this couch.
I don't cry anymore. I'm ecstatic to hear him say. He said as soon as he got back, we'll come to our house soon.
And if you don't give him up, we'll tell her everything. Now that he's back, I know that.
But he didn't come.
And she's crying again.
Oh, my God. I can't possibly make you suffer. I screamed.
I jumped out of my chair in utter despair.
Hey, Nisaka. Can I at least go see him first?
Could it be that way?
She suddenly raised her head to ask. No, of course not.
I woke up, but write a letter. No, it can't be like that.
She replied firmly but bowed her head and did not look at me. I can't because I can't. I said stick to my idea, but Naruto, do you know what a letter is? There are also 7 of them.
Oh, Naska, that's right. Trust me. Trust in me.
I'm not advising you. All of this can be arranged.
If you take the first step, why can't you?
It's like I'm trying to hold on. My kind Orine, Skanka. I interrupted her without hiding a smile.
No, it's not like that.
Of course you have the right to do that. Because he has an appointment. And as far as I can see, he's a very polite man.
He'll do the right thing. I keep talking. Every time a more exciting, by the logic of arguments.
And his persuasion. How did he act?
He refused with that promise.
He said he wouldn't take anyone other than you.
If he gets married,
And he let her be free. You can give him up right now. In that case, you can take the first step.
you have that right.
You have an advantage over him, at least for example.
If you want to free him from his promises. If you were me, how would you write? Write what is a letter.
If I were you, I would write, gentlemen.
Of course, Mr. Essay, of course.
But why do I think?
All right, keep talking.
Sir, I'm sorry, gentlemen, it's me. But there's no need to apologize.
The thing itself says it all.
Write a simple letter as follows. I write for you. Ignore give me my impatience. But throughout the year, I am happy because of a hope.
What am I guilty of if, like now,
Goodbye. See you next time. Wishing you a day full of health and success.